Lyra had just stepped into the airport in the capital city. She had been to the capital several times for work. What she never expected was that the city had a story to tell about her mother. Axel led Lyra through the VIP corridor. They then came to a line of saloon cars waiting for them. Sylvian moved into the driver's seat after opening the door for Axel, while Alan opened the door for Lyra. 3 saloon cars followed the car driven by Sylvian, while behind the saloon cars was a hospital car carrying Lyra's mother. Before going to Axel's parents' residence, the two of them first went to the hospital for Celia's treatment. After everything was done, Lyra and Axel went to their parents' residence. Axel placed 2 guards at the door of Celia's room. Other than the doctor or nurse assigned to treat Celia, the others were not allowed to enter. Celia's whereabouts were also kept secret by Axel. He was sure that Baza and Rene would never be able to find her. A 20-minute journey from the hospital, Lyra and Axel had now reached their destination. Axel's parents were waiting for them, while Elliot and Celia could not welcome Axel and Lyra, as they had their own jobs to attend to.
Welcome home, Lyra.
Charlotte greeted Lyra with a smile.
Thank you, Mom.
Lyra slipped into Charlotte's arms.
Take your wife to rest. She must be tired from being on the plane for so many hours.
Alastair exclaimed.
Yes, father.
Axel replied.
Darling, come on.
Lyra then stepped together with Axel. Axel's parents' residence was more luxurious than Axel's grandparents. It was modern in style with high-quality furnishing. Lyra was born into a fairly wealthy family, but the Cheister family definitely could not compare to the Leander family, who were an old money family. Axel led Lyra to her room.
Honey, this is my room and it's your room now too.
Lyra walked into a very neat room. The room was predominantly white, showing Axel's love for cleanliness.
If you don't like the look of this room, you can change it to your liking.
Axel exclaimed.
There is nothing to change.
Lyra had no particular wishes about the room's decor. When she was a teenager, she had always let her mother arrange the room for her. And it was always white as well.
All right, then let's rest for a while and then go down for lunch.
Lyra nodded her head briefly. The woman then rested herself for a while.
Where's the kitchen?
Lyra asked Axel.
Oh, do you want to make lunch?
Yes.
Let the chef do the cooking. You've traveled a long way, so rest some more.
Axel did not allow Lyra to leave.
All right.
Lyra went back to rest. The woman actually preferred Axel to eat her cooking, but if Axel did not allow it, then she would not insist. Axel and Lyra went to the dining room shortly after the waiter informed them that lunch was ready. At the dining table were not only Axel's parents, but another woman whom Lyra knew from the previous photo was Amanda, the adopted daughter of Axel's parents.
Lyra, let me introduce you to Amanda,
Charlotte said softly. Lyra immediately approached her mother, who had Amanda next to her.
Well, Lyra, this is Amanda, Axel's sister.
Hi, Lyra. I'm Amanda. Nice to meet you.
Amanda extended her hand. The woman seemed very friendly.
Hi, Amanda. Nice to meet you too.
Lyra replied.
I hope you two get along,
Charlotte exclaimed.
We'll definitely get along well, Mom.
Amanda replied quietly. From her appearance, one could tell that Amanda was a meek woman, like most upper-class women. Charlotte was happy to hear Amanda's answer. She knew that Amanda would be able to accept Lyra as Axel's wife.
Axel, Lyra, congratulations on your marriage.
Amanda's words sounded sincere.
Thank you, Amanda.
Lyra replied. There was a strange feeling in Lyra's heart. Somehow she did not believe what her eyes were seeing. She had met many two-faced women before, so she had to doubt Amanda. However, Lyra hoped it was just her feelings, so she wouldn't have to have any problems with the Axel family members.
All right, let's have lunch before the food gets cold,
Alastair exclaimed. The 5 began to eat quietly.
Amanda, after this accompany Lyra to buy the things she needs.
Charlotte wanted to get to know Lyra and Amanda, so she gave them space to get to know each other better.
Yes, Mom.
Axel understood his mother's intentions, so he did not get in the way. He had also known Amanda for a dozen years, so he could entrust Lyra to Amanda. After lunch, Lyra prepared to leave with Amanda. Lyra had previously been given a black card by Axel, so she could buy anything with it. Lyra came out of her room, followed by Axel, who was wearing a neat suit. The man was going to his company.
Buy whatever you want. When you're done shopping, let me know.
Axel exclaimed.
I will.
Lyra replied with a small smile. Axel pulled Lyra into his arms, the man not even noticing Amanda's presence near them. He then gave Lyra a peck on the forehead.
I'll go first.
Yes, be careful.
Axel released his embrace on Lyra's body, after which he left, escorted by Sylvian's replacement driver.
Ms., please.
Sylvian opened the door for Lyra and Amanda. Lyra got into the car. She was thinking about something now. Earlier, she caught a glimpse of the angry look on Amanda's face when Axel hugged her. She was sure her eyes were still fine. It seemed that she was not wrong to doubt Amanda. That woman must not like her. In front of himself, Axel and his family, she would be nice to him, while behind his back she would viciously stab him.
You and Axel have a very good relationship.
Amanda started the conversation.
Yes, I do. He and I have a very good relationship.
Lyra replied simply. She wasn't trying to make Amanda jealous, but that was the reality.
Tell me how you and Axel have met.
Amanda exclaimed. Lyra and Axel had agreed to make up a story that they met by accident at a place, then the next time they met again, at the company. And Axel fell in love with her at first sight. The story wasn't entirely made up because they did meet by accident. They just hid the fact that Lyra went to a bar to hire a gigolo. Lyra told the story as previously agreed. Once again, she saw the trajectory of anger on Amanda's face. Although Amanda looked calm, but her eyes could not lie.
What a lucky coincidence for you.
Amanda exclaimed.
That's right.
Lyra replied.
I heard you saved Axel in the past.
Yes, that's right. I saved Axel. I was only 16 years old and Axel was 18. Axel had cramps in his body when he was swimming alone in the lake. I saved him by taking him to the shore and performing first aid. After that, I took Axel to the hospital.
Amanda told Lyra. The woman's face was very happy when she recalled the past events.
Just like that.
Lyra agreed.
Axel was lucky to have met you at that time, so he was saved.
No, it was actually me who was lucky to meet Axel. After that day, my life changed. I was just a kid who grew up in an orphanage. Axel's parents adopted me as their son and gave me all the luxuries I never imagined.
Amanda replied. Lyra understood why Axel's parents adopted Amanda as a child. It was all because of their gratitude for Amanda saving their eldest son. The two continued to talk, sometimes about work and sometimes about hobbies. After a few minutes, they arrived at the big shopping center in the capital.
Lyra, I forgot to tell you that my friend is also going shopping with us.
Amanda exclaimed.
It's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Lyra replied. Amanda. A woman approached Amanda. The woman was wearing a knee-length dark blue dress that wrapped her body nicely. Lyra looked at the woman. She had been told by Axel earlier that Amanda was friendly with the daughter of Rolene, her mother's half-sister. Lyra's heart could not calm down looking at the woman in front of her. She knew that the woman in front of her had not done anything wrong to her mother. But that dislike suddenly rose in her heart. In order to take revenge, of course, she would definitely have this woman dragged into it.
Lyra, this is Claude, my best friend who is going shopping with us.
Amanda exclaimed.
Claude, this is Lyra, Axel's wife.
Amanda introduced both parties.
Lyra.
Lyra extended her hand first. Claude seemed reluctant to return Lyra's hand. But in the end, he still shook Lyra's hand.
What do you want to buy, Lyra?
Asked Amanda.
Take me to the clothing place,
said Lyra.
All right, let's go to the Leander family's clothing store.
Amanda took Lyra to a shop filled with various types of branded clothes. There were also other items there.
Lyra, please look for the clothes you want.
Amanda let Lyra choose for herself.
Yes.
Lyra then left. Claude immediately pulled Amanda to a quieter place.
Amanda, how could Axel's marry a woman like that? You're clearly better than him.
Amanda felt the same way.
I don't know. It's possible that woman seduced Axel in a disgusting way.
Amanda, you have to make Axel divorce that woman. She must have married Axel because she wanted to control the Leander family fortune.
I'll definitely do it, Claude. The daughter of such a bitch will never enjoy the position of Leander's young mistress for long.
Amanda's true face was now visible. That woman did not like Lyra at all. She was only being nice in front of Lyra and others so that she could attack Lyra from behind. To Amanda, she was the best match for Axel Sev. After all, she was Axel Sev's savior. Axel Sev should have married her instead of marrying Lyra. She had been waiting for a long time. She was sure that in the end she was the best candidate to be Axel Sev's wife. Leander's family was also expecting that, but Lyra came out of nowhere to ruin all her dreams. How could Amanda not hate Lyra after all that? Especially when Amanda saw how Axel Sev treated Lyra. She really wanted to tear apart Lyra, who dared to usurp his position. Time passed. Lyra had selected many of the items she needed. When about to pay, the woman handed over the black card given to her by Axel Sev. Amanda's eyes widened. She looked at the limited edition black card and she happened to know exactly who the black card belonged to. Amanda's jealousy of Lyra grew. She herself, despite being the adopted daughter of the Leander family, she didn't have a limited edition black card like that. Then what right did Lyra have to have that card while she, who had saved Axel Sev's life, did not? Lyra looked down. There was a glass reflection there, and she looked at Amanda's two hands that were clenched tightly. The woman turned around. She then saw Amanda was smiling at her now. Lyra laughed in her heart. Amanda was really a hypocritical woman. The woman was obviously very angry, but her face showed a smile, as if it was fine. She wondered when Amanda would show her true face. That woman must have some kind of scheme against her. He just needed time to prove his conjecture. Her enemies in the city were growing, but Lyra was not afraid at all. In this battle, she would definitely come out on top. After shopping, Lyra was taken to a restaurant that was still in the shopping center. Amanda still maintained her hypocritical face, while Claude continued to feel disgusted with Lyra. She didn't dislike Lyra for taking Axel Sev from Amanda, but because Lyra made her another rival for Axel Sev. One Amanda had already made her feel resentful. And now, another Lyra had come along as Axel Sev's wife and was recognized by the entire Leander and Winder families. Claude had been friends with Amanda because he used her to get closer to the Leander family. With the excuse of visiting Amanda, he could be closer to Axel Sev. In addition, Claude does not really consider Amanda as his rival because as long as he has been friends with Amanda, he has seen that Axel Sev is not interested in Amanda. Although Amanda had saved Axel Sev, the man didn't really care about Amanda's presence around him. He would only speak to Amanda as needed and tended to keep his distance. It was just that the rest of the Leander family seemed to have high hopes for Amanda, so they often made Amanda accompany Axel Sev to events. However, that had stopped 4 years ago. Axel Sev never brought Amanda to parties anymore. Claude is very happy that Axel Sev doesn't like Amanda. She had a chance to get ahead. In the entire capital, she was the most qualified woman to enter the Leander family because she came from the Stanley family, which was almost on par with the Leander family.
Lyra, I heard that your mother was a barmaid.
Claude began to look for an excuse to attack Lyra.
That's true.
Lyra was not evasive. She knew that her mother did that job when her mother was young. Her mother had to support herself, whether it was for survival or her education. She paid for everything on her own by doing some odd job. Claude smiled mockingly.
You seem to get the talent of seducing men from your mum.
Claude, what are you talking about?
Amanda reprimanded Claude, even though that was also what she wanted to say. Lyra smiled lightly.
You're not wrong to say that either.
She was quite proud of the talent passed down by her mother because she could get a man like Axel Sev. It was true that she did not resort to dirty means to get Axel Sev because their first meeting was a misunderstanding, but still she made Axel Sev marry her because they went through that long night.
You must feel you have the upper hand now. A barmaid's daughter marrying the heir of the Leander family.
Claude snickered.
But Lyra, don't get too complacent because sooner or later Axel Sev will get tired of you and dump you.
Claude, why are you talking to Lyra like that?
Amanda, what I'm saying is true. A woman like Lyra is only worth playing with. You shouldn't even bother accompanying this woman shopping. She's already taken Axel's away from you. You should be Axel Sev away from you. You should be Axel Sev's wife now, not this lowly woman.
Claude said it as if he really cared about Amanda when he was doing it for himself.
Amanda, is that true?
Asked Lyra. Amanda was silent. She didn't answer. Claude took the opportunity to answer Lyra's question to Amanda.
That is the truth. The Leander family expected Amanda to become Axel Sev's wife because Amanda had saved Axel's Eve. Almost everyone from the upper class knew that Amanda would be Axel Sev's future wife.
Lyra now understood where Amanda's hatred for her came from, so the woman had developed a fantasy of marrying Axel Sev. Lyra knew very well that female jealousy was one of the most terrifying things in the world.
Claude, please stop. Don't talk to Lyra like that.
Amanda was really enjoying her charade. She played the role of the generous woman while Claude played the antagonist. With this initial scenario, Amanda could create a follow-up scenario, and she would make sure that the follow-up scenario would make Lyra fall out of favor with the Axel Sev family again.
Lyra, don't listen to Claude's words. What people say doesn't matter. You are now Axel's real wife.
Amanda turned to Lyra. Lyra gave a small smile.
Axel didn't say anything about what you just said, Miss Claude. Besides, Amanda didn't have a romantic relationship with Axel. So I don't think I took Axel Sev from Amanda because Amanda never had Axel Sev in the first place.
Lyra's answer made Amanda clench her hands tightly. She really wanted to rip Lyra's mouth off right now. If not for that woman's arrival in Axel Sev's life, then she would definitely have Axel Sev.
What Lyra said was right. Claude, don't talk about this again in the future.
Amanda said, holding back her anger. Claude also did not think that Lyra had a very articulate tongue.
Forget it. I won't be able to get along with this lowly woman. Amanda, I'll leave now. If you want to go out with this woman again in the future, don't invite me.
Miss Claude, take it easy. I have no intention of hanging out with you either. However, I think we will meet often in the future.
Lyra smiled lightly. She was going to her grandfather's residence tomorrow and would be staying there for some time, so naturally she and Claude would meet often. Claude thought that Lyra's words were referring to something else. Since Lyra had married Axel's Eve, of course Lyra would enter into the social circle of the upper class where he was also in.
Lyra, you will never be accepted into the upper class social circle. Sooner or later, you will definitely return to the mud puddle.
Claude sarcastically. The woman took her handbag and left.
Lyra, please forgive Claude's words.
Amanda showed regret on her face.
I didn't think about his words at all, Amanda. He's not important to me.
Lyra said it indifferently, but it was taken as arrogance by Amanda. The woman thought that because Lyra had married Axel Sev, that Lyra had become very haughty. She was sure Lyra must feel like she owned the world now.
Then I have nothing to worry about.
Amanda smiled a fake smile. The order came. Lyra ate her food, and so did Amanda.
Do you want to go somewhere else?
Amanda asked.
No, I don't. I want to go back home.
All right, then we'll go back.
The two of them left the shopping center. The items bought by Lyra would be delivered by the shop they visited earlier.
Lyra, I hope you weren't influenced by Claude's words.
Amanda exclaimed when they had arrived in front of the main building of Axel Sev's parents' residence.
I'm not the type to be provoked easily, Amanda. Besides, as I said earlier, I did not take Axel from anyone because Axel Sev was not in a relationship with any woman when we got married.
Lyra reiterated her words, and the effect was still the same for Amanda. It made her feel very angry. However, The woman held herself together even as her nails dug into her palms.
I'm feeling a little tired. I'm going to rest right away.
Lyra exclaimed.
Yes.
Amanda only replied briefly. The woman also went to her room. Axelsev's parents were not currently at the residence. The two were visiting a charity run by Charlotte. Lyra went to the kitchen to make dinner. She had asked Charlotte for permission earlier. Lyra owed Axelsev a lot of money, and she wanted to repay him a little by preparing a healthy and delicious meal for Axelsev. Besides, it was also her duty to cook for Axelsev since he was her husband. Lyra had just prepared the ingredients she would use for cooking. Her activities were interrupted by Amanda's arrival.
Lyra, do you need help?
Amanda stood near Lyra.
No, I can do it myself.
Lyra replied briefly.
Can I stay here?
Amanda asked.
I want to watch you cook. I want to learn from you.
You can stay if you want.
That's good.
Amanda replied.
You can continue your work, Lyra.
Lyra was wary of Amanda. She didn't know whether Amanda had any malicious intentions or not by coming to the kitchen now. After Amanda, Charlotte also came to the kitchen. She smiled, seeing Amanda trying to get along with Lyra.
Mum.
Amanda immediately approached Charlotte.
What are you doing here?
Charlotte asked.
I'm watching Lyra cook. Maybe I can learn?
Amanda replied.
It's good that you have the desire to learn how to cook. Lyra has very good skills in the kitchen.
Charlotte also wanted Amanda to have the ability to cook. That way, Amanda's future husband would be satisfied with Amanda.
Honey, are you having trouble finding anything?
No, Mom.
Well, since Amanda is here, you'd ask her if you need anything.
Charlotte would not disturb Lyra and Amanda.
Yes, Mom.
Charlotte then left the kitchen. Lyra resumed her activities. As for Amanda, she still lingered to watch Lyra cook. Time passed. Lyra had finished her cooking. Now she would arrange the food on the table. Then the rest she would let the waiter do.
Lyra, let me help you carry it.
Amanda offered to carry 2 plates of Lyra's dishes.
Please.
Lyra gave the 2 plates in her hand to Amanda, but just as Lyra felt Amanda was about to grab the plates, she let go. However, what she did not expect was that the 2 plates now fell to the floor. The sound of the shards startled Lyra. She looked at Amanda for a moment.
Lyra, you dropped the plates.
Amanda exclaimed. The woman had clearly deliberately not welcomed the plates when they were in her hands, but she blamed Lyra instead. Lyra ignored Amanda's words. She quickly picked up the broken plates. At the same time, Amanda moved. She seemed to want to help Lyra, but the opposite was true. The woman pressed Lyra's hand so that Lyra's palm pressed firmly against the broken plate. Lyra hissed in pain. Amanda immediately moved her hand away from Lyra's hand. The woman looked at Lyra frantically.
Lyra, I'm sorry. I lost my balance and accidentally pressed your hand. Let me see if you're hurt.
She immediately grabbed Lyra's hand. Axelsev arrived. The man did not see what Amanda had done earlier.
Honey, what happened?
He stepped quickly, then grabbed Lyra's hand from Amanda. Lyra's blood dripped onto the floor.
Axel, Lyra's hand was accidentally scratched by a broken plate. Lyra was not careful and dropped the plate. She picked up the broken pieces but got scratched instead.
Amanda explained, and the woman had already changed the incident. Axelsev ignored Amanda's words. He helped Lyra up.
Let's go to the hospital.
Axel, it's just a small wound. This residence has plenty of medicine for wounds.
Amanda exclaimed, hiding her jealousy.
Honey, my hand hurts a lot. Will the wound make my hand ugly?
Lyra deliberately added fuel to Amanda's jealous fire. The woman had deliberately harmed her and lied, so she would make the woman suffer from anger.
Don't worry, your hand will be fine. Can you walk?
Asked Axelsev.
No, I feel weak because my blood keeps dripping.
I'll carry you.
Axelsev then carried Lyra like a newlywed. The man immediately left the kitchen and ignored Amanda completely. Axelsev was no fool. He knew that Lyra was currently putting on an act. His woman was a very strong woman. So how could just a scratch on his hand make her unable to walk? He was just following her charade. He knew that she must have a plausible reason. Amanda, who was left in the kitchen, looked so angry. Her face flushed. Her jaw clenched tightly. Her hands clenched into fists.
Fucking bitch. I will definitely destroy you, Lyria.
Lyria's wounds have been treated by the doctor. There was a fairly deep scratch on her palm, and it would interfere with Lyria's activities for the next few days. Axel looked at his wife, who was currently stepping next to him.
Amanda doesn't seem to like me.
Lyria exclaimed. She did not want to hide what she was thinking from Axel.
I heard that your family used to wish Amanda to be your wife. Is that true?
It's true.
Axel exclaimed.
My parents arranged several times for me to go to parties with Amanda in order to get close to her. But last time I told my parents that I didn't like Amanda at all. I only owe her my life. Not that I have to repay her by marrying her. My parents have supported her enough so far. Besides that, she also gets the best education, a life of luxury and honor.
Don't you realize that Amanda likes you?
Asked Lyria.
I realize it, but it's none of my business. All I know is that I have no feelings for her other than owing her my life.
Axel replied.
How would you find out about that?
Claude told me.
Lyria replied.
What else did that woman tell you?
She said that I'd taken you away from Amanda.
That woman really doesn't have a brain. How could you be called usurping when I never even belonged to Amanda?
Axel felt irritated with Claude. He had not liked this woman very much from the start. It wasn't that he didn't know that Claude liked him too.
Claude and I seemed to be destined to be enemies. The first time we met, she already showed her dislike for me.
Lyria exclaimed. She thought Claude would be a good match for Rolling's son and Belaze's grandson. They had similar dispositions.
You need my help to take care of that woman?
Asked Axel. He actually wanted his wife to grow stronger so that no one would dare step on her, but he felt so furious that this was just the beginning.
No need. I'll take care of it myself.
Axel would watch his wife in action, but he would not let her fight alone.
All right, tell me what happened in the kitchen earlier.
Lyria then recounted from Amanda intending to help her by carrying the dishes to Amanda, deliberately pressing her hand.
This Amanda apparently has the guts to lie to me.
Axel felt humiliated by Amanda.
Do you trust me?
Asked Lyria.
You are my wife. I will always trust you.
Axel had not known Lyria for long, but he had trusted Lyria unconditionally. Moreover, in Amanda's case, Lyria did not need to lie because of Lyria's current position as his wife. Besides, she knew that Amanda liked her, so the woman might have evil thoughts on Lyria. Lyria's heart became very warm because Axel trusted her. She was indeed not wrong to accept this man as her husband.
I really appreciate your trust then.
Lyria exclaimed with sweet smile. Axel and Lyria had returned to Axel's parents' residence. Charlotte immediately approached Lyria when she saw her daughter-in-law stepping into the dining room.
Darling, how's your hand?
She asked worriedly. Charlotte's loving treatment of Lyria made Amanda feel even more uneasy. Suddenly, she felt strange there. She didn't understand why her foster mother would so easily love Lyria, who had just entered the Leander family. Why? Amanda had many questions on her mind right now. One of them was why she was not Axel's wife.
My hand only has a few scratches. Mum.
Charlotte took Lyria's hand.
How is it just a little?
She exclaimed in panic.
You can't go to the kitchen anymore.
Mum, I didn't hurt myself while cooking. I was cleaning up broken dishes.
Don't do that again in the future. Let the maid do it.
Yes, Mom.
Lyria replied obediently. Her mother-in-law looked very stern on the outside, but inside her heart was soft as cotton.
Get down, Axel. Lyria, let's have dinner together.
Alastair exclaimed.
Us. Father?
Axel and Lyria replied simultaneously. Axel pulled out a chair for Lyria, and after she sat down, he took his place. The family started their dinner. Only Elliot and Celia were not there. After dinner, Lyria accompanied her mother-in-law to watch a play, where Amanda was also present. Meanwhile, Axel and his father went to their respective study. In his study, Axel turned surveillance camera in the kitchen. In that residence, there were surveillance cameras in every corner, except for the rooms, so anything that happened outside the rooms would definitely be seen. Axel watched his laptop screen carefully. He zoomed in on the moment when Lyra was about to hand Amanda a plate. It was clear that just as Lyra had said, Amanda deliberately acted as if she wanted to greet the plate. But then the woman pulled her hand slightly so that the plate fell to the floor. Axel also saw how Amanda deliberately pressed Lyra's hand as she picked up the broken glass. Axel had a debt to Amanda, but he would never let her bully his wife in his own home. He should probably make Amanda leave this place soon. Lyra and Amanda were now alone inside the residence's mini-cinema. Lyra quickly pressed the button on the remote to switch off the large screen in front of her.
Amanda, do you really like pretending?
Lyra looked at Amanda sarcastically.
What are you talking about, Lyra?
Amanda pretended not to understand. She had figured out Lyra's trick before. The woman was probably trying to lure her into talking and then record it. That was the method Lyra used to bring down her own family.
No need to pretend anymore in front of me, Amanda. I've seen through your charade.
Lyra, I don't understand what you mean. What charade? Are you accusing me of that because you're jealous of me?
Amanda, what am I jealous of you for? I think here you are the one who is jealous of me. I'm married to the man you like.
Amanda's face tightened. Her eyes were now red from holding back anger.
I know in your heart right now you must be desperate to get rid of me because I have taken your place in Axel's life. Amanda, I've met many hypocritical women before, so it won't be hard to see your true face.
Amanda was still holding herself back. She would not be provoked by Lyra's words.
Lyra, I understand if you think that I'm the biggest threat to you, but really I have no thoughts of taking Axel away from you. Axel and I, we're just foster brothers.
Are you afraid that I'm recording our conversation so that you continue to hold back your anger? You can relax, Amanda. I'm not recording anything right now.
Lyra smiled lightly. What Lyra said still did not make Amanda show her true face.
Well, if you really like acting, then do it well. It's just that I will never let you hurt me again. Remember this carefully, Amanda. The wound on my hand, I will definitely charge you.
And yes, don't ever dream of having my husband, because Axel will never like a woman like you. Lyra then got up from her seat. After Lyra left, Amanda couldn't contain her emotions anymore.
Lyra,
She growled.
what a bitch you are. I'll definitely get rid of you.
For a while, Amanda remained inside the mini-cinema until she calmed down after venting her anger by cursing Lyra. As Amanda exited the room, she bumped into Axel.
Axel.
Amanda looked at Axel softly. The demon inside the woman had now gone into hiding.
Amanda, what you did today to my wife, I will not tolerate it.
Axel, what are you talking about?
Stop acting in front of me. I've seen the surveillance camera footage. You did it on purpose. Listen to this carefully. Amanda, I will never allow anyone to hurt my wife. Anyone,
said Axel. Amanda's heart felt like it had been stabbed by a knife.
Axel, I saved your life. You favor that woman over me?
Amanda, it's me who owes you and not Lyra. What right do you have that you can hurt her?
Axel, I'm the one who should be your wife, not that woman. I saved you. I dragged you across the lake with great difficulty.
You did save me, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna marry you. Did you get nothing from saving me? Amanda, what you received from saving me is more than enough. You live in luxury, are respected, and get all the best.
But that all can't compare to your life, Axel.
Amanda, do you think I don't know, that it wasn't you who dragged me from the lake to land? Do you think you're so great after deceiving my family with your made-up story?
Amanda's face became stiff. She hadn't expected Axel to know about it. So, all this time Axel had seen through her lies was that why he could never get along with her beyond mere politeness.
However, even so, it's still me who brought you to the hospital. If it wasn't for me, then you wouldn't have been able to stand until today, Axel. My silence over your lies it's all due to the fact that you took me to the hospital. But Amanda, I know you helped me that day because you knew I was the son of the biggest donor in your orphanage. If it was someone else who was unconscious, would you have done the same? I doubt it because I know how your personality is.
Axel Sev's words pierced Amanda so much that she couldn't reply. She had been helping Axel Sev because she knew he was the grandson of Blake Leander, the orphanage's biggest donor.
I'm warning you for the first and last time. Don't ever touch Lyria by a hair, or you'll regret it.
Axel Sev threatened Amanda seriously. He could throw Amanda back into the mud.
Axel, are you really like this? Ungrateful. You owe me your life.
I don't mind drowning you in the lake and then saving you, Amanda. Won't we be even then?
Amanda's body was trembling. She was horrified by Axel Sev's words. Axel Sev was done talking to Amanda. He quickly left the woman who was frozen with a pale face.
Sylvia, and break Amanda's fingers. Do it so it looks like an accident.
Axel Sev probably didn't count what Amanda did to Lyria. Axel Sev was completely wrong for touching Axel Sev's woman. The man was unforgiving at all. This morning, Lyria went to the Stanley family residence. There was no way her grandfather could find her and bring her to this place, so she had to go to him.
Miss, who do you wish to see?
Asked a servant in the residence. The servants in the Stanley residence had been changed several times, so surely no one would recognize Lyria even though her face was very similar to Celia's.
I wish to see Miss Claude. I am Lyria, wife of Axel Sev Leander.
The servant looked at Lyria intently. He had never heard that the eldest young master of the Leander family had married. However, she also did not dare to doubt Lyria since the woman mentioned the name of their young lady who had a bad temper.
I will tell Miss Claude whether she wishes to see you or not.
The servant let Lyria wait in the spacious parlor. Lyria did not wait when the servant left. She stepped inside the residence that was very unfamiliar to her.
Miss, where are you going?
Asked another servant who met Lyria.
I'm waiting for Claude, but I want to go to the toilet. Could you show me where the loo is?
Well, let me show you, madam.
The maid led Lyria to the toilet. As Lyria was led to the toilet, she hoped she would meet someone from this family, preferably Malvis Stanley. It was just that even though she had been to the toilet, she still did not find anyone. She finally walked out of the toilet, still with the servant waiting for her. Lyria strode back towards the living room, but on the way, she bumped into the one she had to greet.
Good morning, Mrs. Raylene Linford.
Lyria brought Ralene's footsteps to a halt. Lyria smiled briefly. She approached Ralene, but Ralene's expression was not very kind. That was because Lyria reminded Raylene of Celia when she was young.
Who are you?
Asked Ralene, holding back the anxiety in her heart.
Does Madame Ralene not recognize me from my face? People say that I look a lot like my mother.
Lyria said calmly. Ralene looked at Lyria for a while. The young woman in front of her asked her to guess by mentioning her face that was very similar to her mother's. Was she trying to say that she was Celia's daughter?
I've never seen you before, miss. That's true, but you see my mother very often.
Lyria was sure that Ralene had guessed who she was easily. It was just that the woman pretended not to know.
Miss, maybe you've recognized the wrong person.
Ralene exclaimed.
Waiter, escort this lady out.
Lyria chuckled.
It seems Mrs. Ralene Linford is really enjoying being the only daughter of the Stanley family after my mother left this residence.
Ralene's face stiffened. How could Celia's daughter possibly find this residence? From what she knew from someone sent by her mother, Celia had never told anyone that she was the only daughter of Malvis Stanley of the capital. She did not even tell her own daughter. From the other direction, Claude came with an arrogant face. He wanted to know why Lyria wanted to meet him.
Lyria, what did you come here looking for me for?
Claude was now standing next to his mother. Ralene was surprised to hear her daughter's words. It seemed she had met the young woman in front of her before.
Didn't I tell you that we would meet often, Claude?
Lyria smiled faintly.
I was right, wasn't I, Mrs. Raylene?
Lyria turned to Ralene. Ralene's feelings were becoming increasingly uncomfortable. She really did not expect Celia's daughter to come to this residence. Supposedly 2 years ago, Celia's daughter should also have been killed. That way, there would be no threat like the current one.
Lyria, no one wants to see you in this residence. Get out of here.
Claude drove Lyria away. He shouldn't have gone downstairs and let the servant drive Lyria away instead. Every time he saw Lyria, He just wanted to tear that woman's face off for being married to Axel Set.
Too bad, Claude. I will not leave here. I have even more right to be in this residence than you do. Is that not so, Madame Ralene?
Lyria turned back to Ralene.
Lyria, stop saying nonsense and get out of here,
growled Claude. What's going on here? Ralene's body stiffened. She tilted her head and saw that her father and mother were currently approaching them. Lyria gave a small smile. The woman did not approach Malvis Stanley, but rather let the man come towards her. The moment Malvis saw Lyria's face, he stopped stepping. Lyria's face was so familiar to him that it made his heart tremble. His eyes suddenly turned red. It was like he was seeing his little daughter again now. The same thing happened to Baza. The woman almost had a heart attack when she saw Lyria. A moment later, Malvis came to his senses. The man stepped faster to look at Lyria more closely.
Grandpa.
Lyria called Malvis lightly. She was honestly disappointed in the man in front of her who trusted others more than his own flesh and blood. But this man in front of her was the only healthy one she was related to. He still had to treat him well. Moreover, there were 3 female snakes around his grandfather. He must not make enemies with that man because it was obviously the 3 female snakes that would benefit from it. Malvis fell silent again when he heard Lyria call him grandfather. This man never knew that he had grandchildren, but with just one look at Lyria, he knew that the young woman in front of him was his granddaughter, as her face was very similar to his daughter's.
Are you my granddaughter?
Asked Malvis.
Are you my granddaughter?
Malvis asked then.
Yes, Grandpa, I am Lyria Valletta, daughter of Richard Chester and Celia Stanley.
Lyria introduced herself. Malvis' chest was raging now. There were many emotions in his chest. He had been searching for his daughter in the past few years, but to no avail at all. And now his granddaughter was suddenly standing in front of him. His feelings could not be described in words.
My granddaughter?
Malvis pulled Lyria into his arms. The old man cried tears of joy. He thought he would never see his offspring again until death. But God was still very kind to him for making his grandson come to his residence. Claude was shocked by this fact that he had just learned. He hadn't expected the Stanley family's biological granddaughter to return, and it turned out that the woman was Axel Sev's wife. A sense of threat now shackled Claude. Ever since she was born, she had been blessed with being the only young lady in the Stanley family. She had enjoyed all the luxuries, affection, care, and love from her grandfather. But now that her biological granddaughter was back, how could all that care and love still remain hers? Now he truly understood the meaning of Lyria's words, that the two of them would meet often in the future. Claude's hands were clenched tightly into fists, his face now very red with anger. The same thing happened to Ralene and Baza.
My grandson, my grandson.
Malvis was speechless. He just repeated the words several times. Perhaps if her grandfather had not disappointed her mother, Lyria would have felt very happy to meet the rest of her family. But right now, she did not feel the heartwarming meeting of family members. Baza soon spoke up. The woman began to play her role again as a kind-hearted lady.
Let me see my grandson,
she called out. Malvis released her embrace. He let Baza look at Lyria.
Are you really Celia's daughter?
Asked Baza.
Does Mrs. Baza doubt that I am Celia Stanley's daughter?
Lyria did not call Baza grandmother, but rather mistress. She would never recognize this woman as her grandmother, as Baza had never been a mother to her mother.
Nowadays, there are a lot of random women claiming to be, so it's not wrong for my grandmother to ask you. You might just want to trick us all into wanting to be part of the Stanley family.
Claude replied sarcastically. Lyria laughed amusedly.
Why would I prove that I'm my mother's daughter or not to anyone else? Are you part of the Stanley family?
Lyria's sharp words made Claude stabbed. He was indeed not part of the Stanley family, as his mother was only Malvis Stanley's stepdaughter. No blood ties at all.
Grandpa, my mom is currently in town. If you want me to take a DNA test to prove that I am my mother's daughter or not, I don't mind.
Lyria was just going to prove it to her grandfather. Baza and Ralene were surprised to hear this. The person they sent to kill Celia said that Celia had died in a car accident with her husband. So how could Celia be in this city? Both of them were getting more and more uneasy. With Lyria's existence alone already jeopardizing the position of those who want to inherit Malvis' fortune, now add Celia. That was clearly unfavorable for them.
Is your mum really here? Take Grandpa to your mum?
Malvis exclaimed, unable to contain his longing for his daughter.
I can take Grandpa to Mum, but unrelated people don't need to come.
Lyria pointed at Baza, Raline, and Claude.
Lyria, what trick are you using? Are you trying to trick us?
Claude said sarcastically.
Claude, watch your words.
Raline reprimanded Claude.
Let's go. Let's go.
Malvis exclaimed.
Grandpa, wait!
Claude interrupted.
What if he has bad intentions towards Grandpa?
Claude, you know where to find me if I have bad intentions. I am Axel Lelander's wife. Do you think I would foolishly commit a crime with this many witnesses?
Lyria mocked Claude, who had dirt clogging his head. Lyria's words made Baza and Raline even more surprised. Apparently, Celia still had very good luck. She even became the mother-in-law of the eldest grandson of the Leander family, who had terrible power in his hands at a young age.
Grandpa, do you want to go with me?
Yes, let's go.
Malvis ignored his family. The man followed Lyria because he believed that Lyria was his granddaughter. Lyria stepped past Raline. The woman deliberately bumped into Raline's shoulder. At the same time, she put something into the pocket of the suit worn by Raline.
That bitch?
Claude hissed softly. He was furious at what Lyria had done to his mother.
Mum, is she really Grandpa's granddaughter?
Claude asked after Lyria and Malvis had moved away.
Mum, what should we do now? How could Celia still be alive? Have we been deceived by the person Mum sent to kill Celia? Don't talk here, come to my room.
Baza immediately stepped into her room. The woman's face looked very hideous now. She had hidden her true face for many years, but now this kind of expression would appear frequently again. Baza really hated Celia. That damn woman should be dead. Why was she still alive and messing around again? Claude didn't understand. This woman was never involved in her grandmother and mother's plans, but she still followed the two. Baza drank immediately when she got to her room. The old woman threw the glass cup in her hand against the wall, to the surprise of Raline and Claude.
Celia? Celia? Why is that bitch still alive?
Baza was furious.
Mum, what should we do now? With Celia's return and the existence of Celia's daughter, we won't be able to inherit Father's estate.
Raline exclaimed anxiously. She coveted the Stanley family fortune so much. If Celia was not present, then it would clearly belong to her mother and her.
What else is there to do but kill them all?
Exclaimed Baza. She could not possibly let Celia and Lyria stay alive.
Then what about the assassin that Mum hired to kill Celia? He has deceived us,
growled Raline. Baza was also angry at the man, but she did get photos of the accident that befell Celia and her husband. In the upside-down position of the car after the violent impact, was it possible for someone to still be alive? However, Baza knew that Lyria would never come up with a lie, so the only one who deceived her was the assassin she sent 2 years ago.
I'll get Maxton to find that bastard and kill him,
Baza snarled. She had spent a lot of money to pay the assassin, but it turned out that Celia was still alive until this moment.
Mum, this time let Maxton kill Celia and Lyria himself. Don't leave it to anyone else.
Maxton did have to intervene this time because the murder this time involved Axel Sev's wife, so it had to be done neatly.
Baza replied. By eliminating Celia and Lyria, she not only kept the threat away from herself and her daughter, but also from her grandson, whom she expected to marry Axel Sev Leander. Claude listened to the conversation between his mother and grandmother without interrupting at all. He was still very young, but he was just as ruthless as his grandmother and mother. Celia and Lyria were a hindrance to him, so they had to be eliminated.
Grandma, Mum, does Lyria's face really resemble Grandpa's daughter?
Claude was only curious because he had never seen Celia before. All the photos of Celia and the residents had been kept by Malvis in a special room, where his late wife's belongings were.
That little bitch is exactly like her mum,
Raline said hatefully.
I really hate that face. It would be great if I could destroy it.
No matter what happens, I will never let Celia and Lyra inherit Malvis's estate. I managed to get that woman out of this residence before, so now it's the same. She and her daughter will be out of Malvis's life forever,
said Baza, as if she had made an oath. The room was silent for a moment, until Baza finally spoke again. After this, be nice to Lyra. Don't let Malvis know that we hate Lyra. This way we can bring Lyra down, just like what happened to her mother. Raline and Claude understood what Baza was saying, after which Raline and Claude walked out of their grandmother's room.
Mum, I want to know how you and Grandma were able to get your daughter out of this residence.
Claude was filled with curiosity now. He had to learn a lot from his mother and grandmother in order to defeat others.
Mum and Grandma made Celia and Grandpa's relationship strained. In front of Grandpa, Mum would pretend to be hurt by Celia. One day I slapped myself, but I told Grandpa that Celia slapped me because Celia didn't like me. Your grandmother did something even more extraordinary. She poisoned herself to make your grandfather angry with Celia. After that, you put the poison in Celia's storage area. You guessed the password, and it turned out to be true. Celia used her mother's birthday as a security password.
Claude really admired his mother and grandmother. They were truly amazing.
I have a lot to learn from Mum and Grandma.
Yes, you must learn. After this, don't ever be rude to Lyra. Let her be rude to you, or you can design it yourself to make Lyra look like Celia. Then, after that, you can make Grandpa feel sorry for you.
Raline taught her daughter how to survive well in the residence.
I understand, Mum.
Tell me how you got to know Lyra.
I met her yesterday, Mum. Amanda had told me earlier that Axel had married out of town, only I didn't expect him to marry Grandfather's granddaughter.
Claude exclaimed. After that, he told her about the other things he knew about Lyra, and some of the things that had happened in the town where Lyra was born.
Apparently, Celia is in a vegetative state. It would be easier to kill that woman.
Raline exclaimed.
You should be more careful of Lyra. That woman is more cunning than her mother. She might pull the same trick on you.
Raline warned Lyra. The woman had no idea that all her and her mother's rottenness was being recorded by Lyra. Raline took off the suit she was wearing. The woman threw it into the rubbish bin. She was disgusted that her suit had been touched by Lyra. Lyra and Malvis stepped in the hospital corridor towards the place where Celia was being treated now. During the journey to the hospital, Lyra and Malvis did not talk to each other. Malvis just wanted to see his daughter immediately, but he didn't expect that he would be brought to the hospital. Was her daughter suffering from an illness and being treated here? After a while, Lyra arrived at the door guarded by 2 guards. Axel stationed 24-hour guards there, with the change being made once every 6 hours. There were a total of 8 guards sent by Axel to guard Lyra's mother. Malvis frowned at the guards at the door. However, the man did not think too much. When he heard Lyra inviting him in, he immediately stepped through the open door. Malvis' footsteps stopped when he saw who was lying on the bed with various devices connected to his body.
Celia.
Malvis made a stifled sound. He felt like there were hundreds of needles stuck in his esophagus right now. Lyra did not make a sound. She just let Malvis meet his mother. The daughter Malvis had neglected for years. Malvis should have sought out her mother sooner. Not in the past few years. Her mother had left the capital for more than 20 years. Lyra thought Malvis' heart was really hard for letting her own only daughter wander alone out there. Malvis was now at Celia's bedside, the man looking down at his pale daughter. Although Celia had aged as a father, Malvis must have recognized his daughter. What Malvis saw right now looked like his late wife when she left him.
My daughter, Daddy, is here.
Malvis spoke with tears streaming down his face. The man was now faced with the painful shadow of loss again. He had been in a position like this, where his wife was lying in a hospital bed for several months, and finally she left him forever. The feeling that had not been felt for a long time was now back and even more painful. What pained Malvis was that he was not by his daughter's side when she was battling illness.
Honey, what happened to you? Are you punishing me now? I was wrong. I shouldn't have let you go that time. I should have looked for you sooner. Honey, please forgive me. Please don't punish me like this.
Grandpa Mum has been in a vegetative state for 2 years.
Lyria told her grandfather. At least her grandfather still had affection for her mother. Malvis was surprised to hear Lyria's words.
How can my daughter be in this state?
Mum and Dad had an accident 2 years ago. Dad died in the accident while Mum is like this.
Lyria replied. Malvis' chest was hurting so much now. His daughter went through such a horrible thing, but he wasn't by her side. He didn't even know that his daughter was like this. He really was a useless father. Malvis also felt guilty towards Lyria. His granddaughter had lived a difficult life for the past 2 years, losing a father, then having her mother lying withered in the hospital. Malvis did not know what Lyria's pain was like. The man did not know what kind of life Lyria had gone through for 2 years. Maybe if he knew, he would blame himself even more.
Grandpa, do you know who harmed Mum until she was like this?
Lyria exclaimed. Malvis' gaze shifted to Lyria. He obviously didn't know who had harmed his daughter because she was far away from him, more than 20 years since they had met. What kind of things her daughter did or who her daughter's enemy was, she did not know.
Baza.
Lyria mentioned the name of Malvis' wife who had accompanied the man until now.
Do you have the proof?
Malvis could not immediately believe Lyria's words without proof. Lyria smiled bitterly.
I should have the proof. If Mrs. Baza did not send people to harm my father's personal assistant...
Lyria, you can't talk like that without proof.
Malvis felt that Baza could not possibly do such a thing. After decades with Baza, he knew the personality of his wife, who had a gentle heart.
So this is how you doubted your own daughter's words that had no evidence back then when she was framed by Mrs. Baza and Mrs. Rene.
Lyria's voice sounded like it contained a lot of disappointment.
You really trust others rather than your own offspring, who is your flesh and blood.
When Malvis was confronted with Lyria speaking like this, he was like looking at his daughter, who was disappointed in him. This look would never be forgotten by Malvis.
I will not accompany you here. Please spend your time alone with Mum.
Lyria continued. Without looking at Malvis, she turned and walked out of the ward. The 2 guards immediately bowed their heads when they saw Lyria come out. That man is my grandfather. He will probably visit here often. Yes, mistress. Lyria began to pace in the corridor. Right now, she was not giving up on her grandfather. She just wanted to calm herself down. Someday, she would definitely make her grandfather see what Baza and Rene's real faces looked like. Behind Lyria, there was Sylvian, who followed her quietly. Arriving at the car, Lyria ordered Alan to take her to the Chester construction branch in the capital.
Tell all the managers in the company about my arrival.
Lyria exclaimed to Sylvian.
Yes, madam.
Lyria was honestly no stranger to the business world, as her father was also an entrepreneur. But his company was not as big as Chester Construxy. From a young age, Lyria was often taken by her father to work. So she had already started learning the business world when she was young. It was done by her father to prepare Lyria as a successor. But the future is unpredictable. Her father's company is even now in ashes.